Meantime, the U.S. defense budget is facing almost $50 billion in cuts, and it's causing mixed feelings in America. Some fear it'll weaken security, but others say the reduction is long overdue. But America's huge military presence abroad is one area many think could comfortably take the hit. Our Washington correspondent, Ganesh Chikane, has been going over the numbers.
There's a lot of talk in Washington about the need to make some cuts to the humongous military budget in light of this conversation. We checked out the latest Pentagon numbers on troop deployment around the world. The U.S. has boots on the ground in 150 countries. That's around 200,000 troops serving in different parts of the world. Largest contingents include, of course, Afghanistan, 66,000 troops. Well, that number is supposed to be halved by the end of this year. There you see vast presence in Asia Pacific, Japan, South Korea. With the announced pivot to Asia, those numbers may actually grow. In the Gulf nations, well, you see Kuwait, Bahrain, the presence there has been growing since the withdrawal from Iraq. Huge presence all across the globe. So why all this? This is more than fighting terror, more than fighting anything. Colonel Douglas Macgregor is with me today to discuss all those whys. Colonel Macgregor, let's take Germany. Almost 48,000 troops. Why so many in Germany?
Before we run through the regions, let me tell your viewers something that's very important up front, because all of these numbers that you've posted are about to change. You have a Secretary of Defense named Chuck Hagel and a Secretary of State named John Kerry. And both of these men are committed to conflict avoidance. Everything that you've got posted is going to change, starting in Germany, where we've had soldiers for 60 years, and we don't need them, and haven't needed them certainly since 1989, 1990. But for various reasons, when the Soviet state system collapsed and the Soviet armed forces withdrew from Eastern Europe, there were people in Washington who set out to find new enemies, new justification or rationale for our global military presence, and actually succeeded somewhat in expanding it, as you pointed out, with the global war on terrorism. That period is now ending.
What about this idea of policing the world, something that Washington has been engaged in for so long?
And how's that worked out? It hasn't worked out, has it? It's cost us trillions of dollars, tens of thousands of lives. It's cultivated new enemies. It's alienated hundreds of millions of people in key regions of the world. So why would we continue to do that? So these numbers are going to come down very, very rapidly over the next 36 to 48 months.
And there are no forces in Washington that would want to keep it the way it is?
Of course, but those are being drowned out by voices that say, no, we can't afford it. We have to economize. We have problems in the United States we must address. And oh, by the way, as I just pointed out, this hasn't worked out well for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The new chief of the CIA, John Brennan, when making a case for drones last year, said boots on the ground would not always be America's best defense because they irritate the local population, create a lot of backlash, as if drones don't. But nevertheless, even the new drone bases that the U.S. is setting up in different countries require troops on the ground to operate them. Recently, President Obama announced the deployment of 100 troops in Niger. So even this pivot to drones doesn't mean no troops. In Washington, I'm Ganesh Chikane.